There we go. Welcome to Unit Charter Training. I'm so excited that you guys have all come tonight. We have a huge showing. How many of you, by raise of hands, this is your first time ever doing a recharter? And keep your hands up if you're scared. Okay, we got a couple of you. Great. You know, I'll tell you what. This is going to be very simple. You can do it. You will be successful, and we have lots of help and support for you. So we are very excited to have everybody here tonight. I think we've got probably at least 100 people in this room. I don't know that we've ever done this before with this many people. I'm really, really happy. Okay, so I'm not going to go into a Get Smart quote. Okay, what is recharter and why do we do it? Chartering is something that we do every year, and it is to make sure that we know and you know who is the correct leaders and the correct boys that should be registered in your units. It also allows the boys and the adults to submit their registration fees to the national office so they can make it official. There's a lot of people that can help you. Now, first of all, before I keep going, can everybody see the screen all right? Should we tilt that screen at all? Is everybody okay to see that? Okay. We're going to try it for Mr. Chapman over here. Okay. And we'll even try and turn the projector. All right. Is that all right? Can I go right in front of you? Okay, great. Okay, so I think that worked out. Is that a little better, Mr. Chapman? Thank you. Okay, so rechartering is just something that we have to do. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It must happen. If it doesn't happen, then your unit fails to be a unit, and the Boy Scouts of America no longer recognizes you as an actual scouting unit. So this is something that we do, and your charter expires on January 31st, 2016, and that is the way for every charter in our council. We've done that on purpose so that we can keep everything organized. So everybody's charter expires on that date, which is why we want to get your charters in no later than December 18th. There's 1,000 charters that we'll have to input. There's no way we can do it if everybody turns it in on January 31st. Okay, so we're going to hope that we can get everybody to turn in their recharters and charter packets on the date that is provided on your envelope. We're going to talk about your envelope in just a second, but let's keep going. So, charter, how does it work? If someone else is in charge of collecting the money, give them a copy of the roster and let them go collect the money. Collect membership applications, ensure adult leaders have youth protection. This is huge this year. We are not accepting, as most of you know, this is ringing. Okay. There, maybe it's, okay. Move up. Okay. So we're no longer accepting applications, adult applications, unless there is a youth protection training certificate attached to it, which means that if you turn in your roster, your recharter roster, and there's an adult that you'd like to register, or if there's an adult that is already registered, but on the very last page it shows that they have not taken that training, I have to give you your charter back, and I cannot accept it. So it's very important that you work on now getting everybody youth protection trained. I'm going to show you a tool later on how you can find that out within your unit, and how you as charter representatives or committee chairs can actually update that record for them. If they say, yeah, I turned that into the scout office and they never updated it for me, you have that power, and I'll show you how to do that later. Okay, I think I missed a point or two. Let's see. No, we did that. So new applications for members, youth applications and adult applications. Want to make sure you guys know the youth applications are very simple. They're easy to do. And in fact, you can fill out a youth application and sign it as the unit leader. You do not have to go to the parent's house, have them fill it out for their son or daughter if you're doing a crew, and wait for that to come back. As youth application, you can fill out, you can sign. If you want to get the parent's signature, by all means, that's okay. But our office is okay with one unit leader's signature. Adult applications, they're a little more tricky. So we have to have 3 signatures on our adult application. obviously the participant's signature, but not only in one spot, in two spots. On the adult application, I'll show you this in just a little bit. On the adult application, it has page 4, which is the page to sign off for a criminal background check, and page 5, which is where they fill out all their information. Both pages have to be signed. The two other people that have to sign that application are the charter representative and the committee chair. A couple other things that you might see a adult application lacking is a question 6, the bubbles, if you will, which is their honesty on and their truthfulness on their background. And then, we talked about this page 4 being signed. You'll also need the youth protection certificate to come with it. A lot of times that's missing. And the last thing that we fail to see is their social security number. That is a must. We cannot run background checks on them without a social security number. In fact, let's take a look now at an adult application. Maybe, could I ask someone that's really good with computers? In fact, I know Mr. Larry Kopp here. He was our... Could you just click on, sit there, and if there's a hyperlink, but it's not displaying, that's kind of weird. I want it to display. Okay, well maybe you guys don't get to see this. Okay, well, we'll let him try and figure that out. But if you haven't seen an adult application, everybody pull out your packets because they're in there, and you can definitely take a look, page 4 and page 5, and you'll see what we mean. Okay. While we're on the topic of applications, we already talked about the youth application. There's a process when a boy it gets older and he moves to the next unit. Many of you have charters where you have Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, varsity teams, and venturing crews all within one number. For example, Mr. Kopp here is part of Troop, Team, and Crew 25. And that charter has 3 different units there. They also have a pack. So when a boy ages up, he does need a new application. And it is very important to get them that application. Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Kopp. So here's the adult application, page 4. Somebody is really wanting to talk to me today. So here's page 4. Very simple. Down here, you can't see it, but down here on the bottom side there is a location for them to sign. Let's go to the next page. Yes.
On the boy youth applications, when they're moving up from like pack to troop, do you need the parent signature on those ones?
No. Unit leader signature is okay. In fact, since they're already going to be in the computer system, all we really need is name, date of birth, address, phone number. So make it simple. Of course, in the unit that they're moving to. All right, wonderful. So there is the place where the adult will sign. This is page 4. And then if we scroll down a little bit, here's the big part of the application, the bubbles on the right-hand side. And then you've also got social security number right here. And if we scroll down a little bit more, you'll see that the committee chair and charter rep need to sign right here in the middle. The applicant will sign right here again. Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and go back to our presentation. There you go. I tell you what, and I've got the clicker. Okay, I think we've talked about everything here. You know, the roster is so important. The youth application's very simple. I'm not going to click on that right now. We've already talked about what you need as the youth, I'm sorry? Yeah. One thing I will let you know is when you are doing your applications, every person needs to be accounted for, and they need to be accounted for in each unit. You can't just have a committee member in the troop if you want him to also be in the team and the crew, if you have a team and a crew in addition to that. So every time you have an application, make sure you check the boxes on the very top signifying which units that person will be a part of. Okay. So, what is in your packet? If you haven't opened up a packet already, let's pull it out. The very first sheet you should see is a bright green sheet, and this is your friend to help you with internet recharter and kind of explains the process. I will tell you that before you even look inside the packet, on your packet, there are two very important things. There's your recharter access code, which hopefully a lot of you have gotten my email just yesterday, and that also includes that access code. That'll be in the top right-hand corner. And then there should be a very neon sticker that tells you when and where we'd like to meet you to have you turn in your charter packets. It is very important that you come to this date and location so that we can accept your charter packet completed. Make sure that is your deadline date. If you cannot make it, cannot absolutely make it, let me know right away and we can reschedule to a different date. What is also in your envelope, there's a yellow page after your green page which kind of tells you a little about my.scouting.org. My.scouting.org is your resource. It is your friend. It's probably about 2 years old and has been worked on every month. They come out with something new. Right now, I will tell you that this is the website to go to take your youth protection training. There used to be another site, delete it out of your mind, myscouting.org. It didn't have that dot in there. It is now and forever will be my.scouting.org. When you go there, you can take your training. You can also record your training as charter reps or committee chairs. So I'm assuming most of you are in those roles. Some of you might not be, but you can be granted access to do that by those people. Okay, there's also a recharter worksheet which will help you understand what roles and what positions your leaders are in. It looks kind of like a 4-column chart. We'll go through that in just a second. There's also Boys Life order subscription. If you'd like to order Boys Life, fill that out. And one for each boy. Make sure you include the $12 fee that goes with it. That's $12 per year. Great magazine. I'm not going to spend time promoting it right now, but it is fantastic. It's nice for a boy to get something in the mail. The OA election sheet, if you're in a troop or a crew. Journey to Excellence form. This form is required. We do want it, and we want you to turn it in with your charter renewal packet. It will be either blue, tan, salmon, or green, depending on which unit you're with. And it is a great way for you to know how your unit is doing. It's a quality check. In fact, it used to be called Quality Service Award, but now it's called Journey to Excellence. Please make sure that's all filled out. I really only need one signature saying that somebody looked at, but it'd be great if you really use this in your committee meetings and everybody that's a part of this process signed it. That's what it's intended for. And there will also be additional youth and adult applications. Let's talk about the unit roster a little bit more. This website's a very handy website, OregonTrailDistrict.org. In fact, if you go to OregonTrailDistrict.org/recharter, this training will be uploaded to that website along with a lot of other great helps. Helps like the roster, the electronic version that you have in your packet, and also PDF fillable applications for boys and adults, and many other great resources electronically. If you go to my.scouting.org, you will be able to, I'll show you this, in fact, let's show you right now. My.scouting.org. This is what it looks like when you sign in. If you have trouble signing in, and a lot of you might, I know that I took 3 or 4 times to sign in. It won't lock you out until I think 5 or 6. And by speaking from experience, you just need to click on Forgot Username. It'll send you an email. It's very easy. All right. But once you get in, click on Home. Once you click on Home, it'll bring you a drop-down menu. Go to Training Manager or Member Manager. Now, you'll only have access to do this, again, if you are a charter representative or a committee chair, and your member profile is updated on your account. How do you update it on your account, you ask? If you go to the little person button on the right-hand side, that'll take you to your account, and then you can then edit your account or your profile just by clicking on that. That's what everybody in your unit should do, is they should all log on, click on that button, and make sure they have their member number and have them associate their member number. This is so important. As soon as they do that, whenever they take a training, it's automatically recorded. There's no extra work done, no certificates needing to be printed. It's automatically recorded. So, very helpful for you now and forever, as long as they are there. Yes, sir. Randy.
The stuff from the old website transfer to the new one, or that's why we're needing to get a copy of their sheet that says they did like their youth training or whatever training, so that we can go in and add that?
So is your question that did the old website
transfer to the new
Yes.
website?
And the old site still works, but use the new site. The old site and the new site are the same username and password. All of the information that was existing in both of them are the same.
Okay. The only, I guess I've kind of been in there and kind of looking at some of that stuff, because I know in my case, for my leaders, I've always looked to see what training they have, where they're at, so that I can tell them, hey, you need to do this training or whatever.
Right.
I've not noticed that I have that access in the new website.
You know what, let's link up together and I'll help you out. But I will tell you this, that when you go here and you click on Home, this drop-down menu will pop up, and you just click on Training Manager. It will then be very thank you. It will be easy to determine what you're going to click on next to get that report. You just got to get to that point. And same thing with the Member Manager. If you want to find out what their membership numbers are, click on that so you can provide it to them later on. So, I think I covered everything from this page. No, one other thing. When you use my.scouting.org, and you're going to find this scouting websites are very particular. This website, it's best to use Google Chrome or Firefox. Okay, that's just how it is. Those websites work the best with, or those browsers work best with this website. Okay. And then there's another browser that works best with the ReCharter site, which we'll talk about real soon. And you'll notice that we haven't really even dug into the online ReCharter part yet, which is what we're about to do. We've only been talking about the rosters and getting applications printed out. So you'll find that that is going to be the first most tedious task, is getting your roster updated and getting applications filled out and signed. Once you've done that, go online to do ReCharter, and you're going to do the following things. You're going to register online. Once you've registered online and completed all of that, you're going to print it, get the signatures for people to sign your roster, the bishop or the institutional head, pastor, whoever the leader of your charter would be, will sign it, as well as the unit leader. And then complete the Journey to Excellence and turn it in on those dates. Okay, so once you're ready to go to that website, you're going to go to this website right here. I've already brought it up, OregonTrailDistrict.org/ReCharter. And you're going to click on that button right there. It's the same image. Once you click on that button, it'll take you to a completely new website. Now, when doing this, here's where the browser comes in. Use Internet Explorer. If you do not use Internet Explorer and you call me and ask me for help, that is going to be the first question I'm going to tell you, because many other browsers will not show the boxes correctly. I know it's archaic. Please don't judge.
Is there a particular version of Internet Explorer?
I am glad you asked, Greg. Not necessary. However, when you go into Internet Explorer, very first thing you want to do, when you get to this website, very first thing is get to the website. Then click on Settings. Go to Compatibility View Settings, click Add, and then Close. What this will do is this will allow this website to work in any version of Internet Explorer. Okay? And if you might even see the change in the website, where boxes that used to be huge and long might shrink. Yes, sir?
Will we be given, or can we have a copy of this presentation?
That is a great question. Yes, I will put it in PDF tonight, or tomorrow morning and upload it to this same website, OregonTrailDistrict.org/recharter. Great question. Yes, sir.
And I just want to be sure, because this green sheet is what you're talking to, correct?
The green sheet is not what I'm talking to. That's just that is an extra help in addition to. Is there something on the green sheet that can?
Website that says here versus there, and I just want to be sure this one's not correct and that one is.
They're both correct. So that's a great question. You can go online to the orida-bsa.org website, which is the council website. The reason why I'm not directing you there right now is because the website has not been updated in a while due to the passing of our webmaster. And so I've moved that link to our district website. But you can go to either one, it'll take you to the same place. That's a great question.
Better write this one down.
Yep.
That one.
Yep.
It's not a green sheet.
Okay, any other questions? Great. Once you have signed on, you can now enter your access code. Put in your unit number and your unit type. I'd recommend starting with the oldest unit first. Not oldest as far as how long they've been a unit, but the oldest is in how old those scouts are. So if you have a pack, troop, team, crew, start with the crew. Start with the benchers. Then go to the varsity team, then Boy Scout troop, then Cub Scout. This will serve you a very, this is for purposes of promoting boys. And I'll talk about promoting in just a second. So just know, start with the crew. Once you've signed in, be trustworthy, click I agree, don't share this information with anybody else, it's all confidential. And put in your contact information. I do not want your bishop's contact information. I do not want your scoutmaster's contact information. I want yours, because you're the one that put it in. So please enter in your contact information. When you type in your password and you create your password, please remember that this does not need to be the same password used to go access your bank account online. You're going to want to create a password that is something you can share with someone else. Say me, for example. If you needed help with your online recharter and you had a quick question, you need me to look at it, you're going to call me and I'm going to say, oh, okay, can I have access to that? And you can give me your password, right? I recommend using, because I have access to your access codes. You're the only one in your unit that should have access to your access codes. And if your password is very simple, say, for example, if you're in Troop 25, you just say Troop 25 and make it easy. That's what I recommend. Do whatever you will, but I recommend making it easy because it's a one-time deal. Okay, once you've gone there, and you will notice, and I apologize about the different backgrounds here, the background does not look black and red. I don't know if you really can see that from there, but it looks more like this. We've just taken this from two different time periods, one from 2003 and one from 2004, and that happened to be the switch year. Anyway, not to worry, it is all the same. And once you go here, click on begin. Once you've hit begin, always load council information, and these are all screenshots, so you can definitely, you will see these same screens when you go log in yourself. If you upload UMS file, it's thinking that you've got your own file that you want to upload. It's a lot easier to update the roster that we have for you. So you're going to click on load council information. Type in the address and the contact information for your institutional head and where they meet. Now is where you get into updating our roster. You've by this point generated a roster that you know is correct. You now need to put that online. So if there's people that are registered, and it'll show you who's registered right here, that should not be registered in this unit, please uncheck the box. I will tell you that in the LDS culture, there might be some people that are registered. You're thinking, well, I know that person and they're deep in scouting, but they're not doing anything in the unit. It might be because they're a unit commissioner and they're registered in the unit so that they can be paid for and have an active district role instead of a unit role. We call these people unit scouter reserves. Just know that you will see that position or that code called Unit Scouter Reserve later on for that person. If it's not, by all means, call them up and say, hey, are you doing anything in the district? Okay, because it's important to be registered both in the unit and in the district if you're an LDS member. Okay, let's keep going. once you've checked the box of who should and who shouldn't be there, it will then reconfirm that with you. And now it is time to promote. What does promote mean? Promote is a copy. If a boy is moving up, we've already talked about this, from one age group to another age group. Say he's moving from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts. You do not have to enter in all of his information. It would be a pain to do so. And all you have to do is copy their information and move it up to the troop. Yes, sir. Michael.
Dual registrations,
Mm-hmm.
would that be done during this promote, or is that later on?
You can do that here, but you're probably talking about multiples and where they're getting paid. That'll be later on. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Good question. So how to promote, and I want to make sure to emphasize this, that promoting is an electronic copy of a member from one unit to another. It does not remove their membership from the previous unit. So if Joe Scott is a Cub Scout and he's moving to the Boy Scouts and you promote him to be a Boy Scout, you copy his registration information, and it does not remove him from that Cub Scout pack until someone literally removes him or checks the box that he should not be registered there. Let's dive further into this. Once you've clicked on the promote button, it will ask you what unit you want to promote from. You will not be able to promote from other units unless you have that access code. Many times, if you have 4 different units you're taking care of, pack, troop, team, crew, you have those access codes. If you don't, and you don't know who has that access code, please get a hold of me and I can help you out with that. Once you've typed in the access code and the unit number that you're promoting from, you'll click Next, and then it'll give you a list of names of people that you can promote and that are eligible to be moved from one location to the next. Okay, so that is promoting. Any questions about promoting? Because this is going to save you a lot of time. If you do not understand it, please ask now. Yes, Mr. Bodley.
Should we promote boys that are going to be promoted
Good question.
this year, or ones that have already, when do we do that?
So the charter expiration date is January 31st. This will all go into effect on February 1st. I would recommend promoting them if their birthday is between now and February 1st, unless they haven't, or between the past and February 1st. If they haven't turned that birth date by February 1st, 2016, I would not worry about promoting them. That's a great question. Any other questions about promoting?
What about the
Yes.
baby pack?
You can still do it.
Even they're going over in March?
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So as long it's up to you as far as when you're going to promote them. It's going to be easier to take care of all of your applications and making sure that it is correct now versus turning in applications in the Scout office later.
So we can promote them now, and then next year we put them in the Cub Scouts?
Yes. Good question. As long as they're eligible. You cannot promote a 9-year-old to Boy Scouts, but you can promote a 10-and-a-half-year-old who's completed their Arrow of Light to Boy Scouts. So, it's a great question. Okay. So once you're done promoting, you can now enter in new adults or new boys. If there's a new boy that's entered the program, or if there was a boy that you thought you were going to be able to promote but they weren't there, you can now type in their information. But it's going to ask you for leaders first. So right here, here's a new adult. You're going to click on, see new adult. You'll click on new adult. If there's a new adult you need to enter into the computer. Once you've done that, you type in their information. This is page 1. Page 2 will come up, and then you're done. Now, after you're done and you hit next, it'll ask you if you want to promote or add new adults, or excuse me, new youth. If you want to add new youth, you click on new youth. We kind of skipped that screen, sorry about that. But it looks very similar to the adult screen right here, only the youth button will be over here. Yes?
Will I run into a problem that I'm the new adult?
So if you're the new adult, will you run into a problem? The answer is no. That's a great question. If you're not registered, you can still do this. You just need the access code and the unit number. Okay.
Curtis,
Yes?
when you add a new adult, there's an option to add their youth protection to it?
No. That's a great question. So where does the youth protection come in? So if you are, I'm sorry?
They can't.
Okay, so the question is, where do you put the youth protection when you're adding the new adult? The answer is you don't. You just print the certificate and or the roster showing that they have been trained in youth protection and provide that with your paperwork. That's a great question. Okay, so let's go to the youth section. So youth page 1, very simple, name, information. There's a couple more steps to the youth application though. So you then put in page 2, page 3, you have to select the parent or guardian on who that boy is related to. If they're registered in the unit, you can just select from the parent below. If they're not, you have to type in the parent's information. So it's always nice when the boy's parent is registered in the unit. And I think that's a total of 6 pages there for the youth. So youth takes a little more time than the adults, but the adults might require information that you don't have unless the adult has filled out an adult application. For example, a date of birth or a driver's license number. You might not have that information unless they filled out an adult application, which is why it's so important to get that first before you start this process. Okay, once you've hit next, you've added all the adults and the youth to your roster that you want. It's now time to update anybody that's there. Has someone moved? Has their phone number changed? Has their email changed? Take the time to look at that right here and make sure everything's correct. It will also list their positions, and if their position has changed, now is not the time to do it. That will be on the next screen, which I will show you. It's harder to update their position with this screen than it is on the next screen. How would you have known that without coming to this training, right? Okay. So once you get to the next screen, you will then have a list of everybody with just their names and their positions. And now is where you can update it. In fact, I'll show you here. If you click on update, which is, that screen's kind of holding that, you hit update, brings up this box, you select the positions that they're in. Sometimes people will be in multiple positions. Sometimes a charter representative also wants to be the committee chair, or sometimes the charter representative also wants to be a committee member. The rule with that is that you cannot have people registered in a background scene and in front of the boys scene. So you can't have a committee member and a den leader. Den leaders are strictly den leaders, that's all they can be. So if you have more questions about that, you consult this screen right here, because this screen will tell you what you need and what you have. If any of these numbers are red, it means you did something wrong, but that's okay, you can change it. So not all is lost. All right, so now that you've hit this screen and if everything is black, it will let you continue, and it'll actually give you a continue button. When you click on that continue or next button, and it'll take you to this screen right here. You'll run a validation check. The computer or the system will make sure that everything is correct. It might check boy's date of birth to the unit that they're actually registered in. It might say, Sammy is older than he should be. He should not be in this unit. He is no longer Cub Scout age. And you simply fix that by changing his date of birth if it's incorrect, or removing him and having that person then be promoted to the next group. Now, that brings up a good point. If you're starting with the Cub Scouts and you have a Boy Scout troop that you're going to enter into, if the Boy Scout troop wants to promote Sammy from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts, but you've already removed him from the computer on the Cub Scouts, you can't promote because he's already been removed. Now that will only happen if you've hit submit to council. And so once you're officially done, you hit submit and you said, okay, Sammy is removed, for he's no longer a Cub Scout. The Boy Scout troop can no longer promote him. They'll just have to add in his information manually, which is a pain. 6 pages. You don't want to do that. So make sure you start with the crew, team, troop, pack. Start with that level. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes. That is a great question, Al. I will tell you this, that you are required to fill out an application if the cover sheet that you print, when you print the roster, it'll give you a cover sheet. It will tell you which adults you need applications for as well as youth and which you don't. Typically, the answer is yes. In any situation that you find yourself changing adults in their positions, typically you need a new application. During the recharter time though, when you do it with the recharter system, sometimes it does not make you do that. So you kind of come by with a bye. which is great. So that doesn't mean that you should wait till recharter to change all of your adults. Please do it throughout the year. In fact, if you've been updating your roster and your adults and your youth and been turning in the applications when they've actually made that transition into your unit, this is going to be a piece of cake. You'll be a walk in the park. Yes, sir.
Merit badge counselors, are they required to have youth safety protection, and are they part of this process?
So the question is, merit badge counselors, do they need to be a part of this process? The answer is no. The reason why is a district, they are registered with the district, and they are not registered with the unit. So you won't have to worry about messing with any of the merit badge counselor applications. However, I will tell you, they are still required to take youth protection training and keep that updated. In many situations, when we clean up our merit badge counselor list at the office, we will remove them after notifying them if they have not taken youth protection training or kept them current. So that is a great question. Yes, sir.
If you're promoting from Cubs to Troop, and we delete them off of the Cubs charter, and they have them on the Troop, they can still get awards, correct, until their expiration date?
That's correct. That's correct. Yes, sir.
The committee members, some of our committee members we have are new, and the youth protection training, I know there's 2 of them. There's like a varsity version of one.
Yes.
Mentoring. Do they need to take both since they're registered?
I am glad you brought that up. So the question is, there is more than one youth protection training available. Some of you might have not known that. There's your standard youth protection training, there's a venturing youth protection training, and there's actually an exploring youth protection training too. There's 3. And which one do your committee members need to take? They only need to take the standard youth protection training if they're registered in anything but the venturing program. If they are also dual registered in the venturing program, they will need to take the venturing youth protection training. The big difference between the two is that venturers can have young ladies join. Now I know in the LDS culture that is not the case, but it is still very important to have them take the venturing youth protection training as it's meant specifically for that charter. It was a great question. Yes?
You need to do boy applications, youth applications for like, going to Weeblos? Is that like a promotion too?
Good question. Weeblos is not a promotion. So the promotions are as follows: Cub Scouts into Boy Scouts, Boy Scouts to varsity, varsity to crew. You could also do Boy Scouts into varsity and crew. You could dual register a boy to be a part of the team and the crew at the same time. Might save you some headache in 2 years. So, good question. Okay. So, once you've passed and any errors and validated all the things that need to be fixed, you click Next. And now comes the payment part. This is where Mr. Michael Evans asked a question earlier about dual registrations. And many of you have committee members as members of a troop, team, and a crew. And they are registered in all 3 units. They only need to be paid for once. Okay? It's $24 per person, whether you're adult or a youth. And you don't want them to have to pay $24 times 3 because they only need to pay once. So how do you fix that? You register them in one unit, and in every other unit you call them what's called a multiple, or paid for in another unit. How do you do that, you ask? I'm glad you asked. Okay, right here you will, on this screen, click on the name of the person that needs to be updated as far as where they're registered at. When you click on their name, and you'll notice here, back then, sorry, the race did raise. But you'll click on that name, and then it'll ask you, is this member paid in this unit, or is the member paid in a different unit? You select the unit that they're registered in. Most likely, you're not finding someone that's registered in a different council, so you don't have to worry about that. So you select the unit number, and type in their number. If they're registered for Boys Life, you click check the box, and then you'll hit Next, which you can't see because it's being hidden, but you hit Next. Okay, and I'm going to go back here. One other thing to notice is that it lists the amount, the cost of each person here. Now that is kind of misleading, and I'll tell you that because those of you who are involved in LDS charters, Salt Lake City directly takes payment for all of these people. So it will list $0 the whole way down whether they are registered in this unit or registered in another unit. So how do you know? You have to keep accurate records of who you're going to register and where you're going to register them. When you print out your paperwork, it will list all of the people that you multipled or had listed paid in another unit and what unit they're paid in. So that will help you, but please know that it will say $0 for every person. You're not doing anything wrong. You did sign on to Internet Explorer, not Google Chrome, okay? It's just going to show you that. Now those that aren't in LDS units, never mind anything that I just said. It will give you the correct costs, and we'll let you know where they're at, and then we'll hope to get a check from you when you turn in your charter. Yes, sir.
You can do the same for youth if they're in the troop and team.
That's correct.
So you pick which one you're going to pay from.
So the question is, can you do the same thing with a youth? Yes. If you want to register a boy so he's a part of the crew and the team, you can do that. Just make sure he's paid in only one of those units, and it'll give you the option to do that here. Great question. Okay. Any other questions about multiples? Yes.
You need to make sure that you keep them in the troop if they're working on first class or below.
Love it. Okay. Mr. Kopp stated, and I agree with him, that if the boy is working on his scout rank, tenderfoot rank, second class, or first class, he must be registered as a Boy Scout. Okay, he will not be able to get his advancements unless he's registered in the Boy Scout role. And you can be registered in all three, Boy Scout, venturing, and varsity, as long as you meet the age requirement. Okay. Yes, oh, sorry, Sally.
Okay, so if you have can you, like in separate units, you have a leader who it serves in 3 separate packs. So you have pack 10, 22, 55.
I understand, yes.
Can I register in all 3?
Great question. So,
And do I pay for one in my own unit and then?
so the question is, Ms. Nelson asked, she is registered and wants to be registered in pack 22, 55, and 10, is it? Okay. So, and it's because of they have a combined group of packs, and they still want to be registered individually. Okay, so can she register as the Cub Master, for example, in all 3 units? The answer is yes, and only pay for in 1 unit. Okay, and a lot of you will run into that situation. We call them super packs or super troops, where you have a lot of units together meeting all together, and I know who you are. Okay. And
You have to know which one you're paying and when you have multiple.
that's right. And please keep good accounting when you do so. It is a lot easier to do this process if you've written down on paper where you're going to pay for a certain leader.
When you turn in, you like that.
I do like that a lot. It saves me a lot of time in the paperwork process. Thank you. Okay. So let's continue. We are almost done, by the way, so thank you so much for your patience, and I hope you've been enjoying this. Okay, so once you are past that screen, you're ready to submit to council. But before you hit submit to council, I want you to do this. I want you to click on roster review. In fact, this screen is old. This is the older version. It might say draft. Okay, but up on this corner, something is going to tell you that you can review it, which will allow you to print the roster before you submit. This is so important because you'll actually have a chance to review everything you did on paper prior to hitting submit. Once you hit submit, you cannot change anything. It is done. And all changes have to be done via crossing out and writing in, and that is, it takes a lot of time and it's pain, and we'd rather you just double check and triple check it to make sure it's correct, and even then we'll still find things that we need to change, but the less of that the better. It'll make everybody's time when we do the collection of your charter go by a lot more smoothly. I have a question. Yes, Miss Lisa.
So do you save it and then return back to it? Like if you
I love that question.
use or you need to call you and ask for
So the question is, can you save where you left off? The answer is yes. In fact, it is automatically saved for you. You don't have to do anything to save it unless you have not finished a certain screen. So it'll only save to the point where you hit next. Wherever you've hit next, it automatically saves it for you. So you can leave this site before submitting, and log out, and you can log back in, and it'll take you back here. Okay. Now I will tell you, going between the different stages, and if you look up here, there's 5 different stages. You can't, it's weird, I know it's weird. You can't just click on the number and it'll take you to that stage. You actually have to go up here, click on, there's a home link, and start from the beginning and work your way back up. Okay? But the good news is it's saved everything, you just have to hit next a couple times. Anyway, great question. Thank you, Lisa. Other questions to this point? Okay, great. That means I'm doing my job. Okay, so once you've triple checked, click Submit to Council. Once you've hit Submit to Council, it's going to provide you a PDF that you need to print, and that PDF is going to give you the cover page, which Mr. Robinson talked about earlier. How do you know whose applications you need to collect? Because they're listed right here, new adults, new youth. It might even give you a section for transferred youth. Any name that shows up right here, unless the title is name change only, you need an application for. And that is very important. In fact, when you turn in your charter to us, this is the first page I look for. And if I can't find this page, I don't know whose applications I need and whose applications I don't need. So that's why it's very important to pay attention to your cover page. Okay, once you've done that, this is the next page that will come up. You'll see that you need 3 people to sign it actually. The executive officer, which in many cases is going to be your institutional head, the charter that you're dealing with, the bishop, the pastor, the principal, whoever that be. They'll need to sign this page. You'll also need to sign another page. It's in your charter packet. I'm going to diverge here. In your packet, there is a tannish paper that says Annual Charter Agreement, orange tan. That page will need to be signed by 3 people also. So it's important to know that the institutional head will need to sign both this page and that page. That way when you go visit with him, you don't have to visit with him twice, because you could say, oh, I forgot, I need you to sign this one too. Okay? That tan page also needs to be signed by what's called your charter representative. Many of you, that's going to be a counselor in the bishopric. Many of you, that might be yourself. That will need to be signed by both the institutional head and the charter rep. And then on that gold page, as well as me right here, council representative, it'll be me or your unit commissioner, or Richard Soto. Okay, last one is the scout leader that needs to sign this page. Scout leader can be your cub master, it can be your scout master, it can be your varsity coach or your venture advisor. Those 4 people are designated as the unit leader. Okay. You'll also notice on this page, it lists how many youth you have, how much money that costs. If you're in an LDS charter, that will say 0. If there's any multiple youth or multiple adults, which means that they're registered in this unit, but they're being paid for in a different unit. We've talked about that. It'll also talk to you about Boys Life. Now, whether you're LDS or not, it's going to give you a number and an amount that you need to pay for that. All Boys Life costs have to be paid at the council office. And then the charter fee. So I'll give you a grand total and we'll look at that. When you do turn in your charter, we will review the multiples with you just to make sure that you didn't miss one. We don't want anybody to pay for more than they have to, okay? All right. That is this page. We're almost done, guys. I think once you've done all this, print the paperwork, get it signed, get your applications, get youth protection trainings, bring it to me on the charter turn-in night. Calculate the fees, bring a check if necessary. Complete your Journey to Excellence form. I put a hyperlink there. I'm not going to use it right now, but it will take you to the scouting.org webpage, which will allow you to select whether you're in a pack, troop, team, or crew, ship, or post. And you can print your scorecard, which scorecard you have in your packets tonight. Please bring that with you. And I think you're done. So, any questions? Any questions at all? Yes, sir.
How about some of the dads that want to go on campouts that are not really in the scouting side?
Mm-hmm.
You need to have them registered and youth protection.
That is a great question. So the question is, with regards to outings, do you need to have a dad or a mom or whoever's going to go with you to that boy registered in the Boy Scouts of America? The answer is you need one adult for every 5 kids on average, okay, in the Cub Scout world. And in the Boy Scout world, you need 2 adults for the first 10, 1 adult for every 10 after that. Only one of those adults needs to be registered in your unit with youth protection and other trainings needed. So the dad, no, does not have to be registered as long as there's another dad registered in the unit. And there has to be at least one registered with youth protection training. Yes, sir.
What if one of the volunteer dads is driving? Do you have to have their driver's license and insurance and stuff?
Great question. So this is all regarding tour permits. Yes. So, and you should know all this information long before you guys actually go on your trip or your camp out, is get a tour permit, fill it out, and understand how many boys are going, how many leaders are going, which cars are taking, their driver's license numbers, the license plate number, everything, the insurance, all that, the trainings that everybody has taken. Yes, Mr. Hill.
I'm just going to offer a suggestion. If you have a dad that's involved as much as he can, I would suggest you don't have to. Charter as a committee member, and then you have an extra committee member, and you can do a lot of things with them later down that saves you a lot of hassle in June when suddenly somebody's sick and, oh man, now what do we do now for shooting? Oh, I got this committee member. Come on aboard.
I love it. So the recommendation from a long-term Scoutmaster is go ahead and get them registered anyway. And you know what? That's okay. In the LDS world, you do not have to, I'm just putting this out here, you do not have to be called by your charter or ward leadership in order to be in scouting. I want you to know that right away. However, you still need them to sign off on it, but to choose to be in it, you do not need to do that. Okay, great question. Other questions? Well, it looks like you guys are ready for this charter season. Please remember, visit this website for any help you need. Please call me if you need any help. Please call your unit commissioner if you need any help. And please enjoy it. Thank you. Oh, yes, sir.
It's not going to be a problem on one of those slides, that unit commissioner and say the headmaster. It's not going to be a problem for the same person.
As far as signatures go, you do need them to be different people. So are you talking about the adult application, or are you talking about the charter?
On the second page is the cover page.
Okay.
You had mentioned there was one signature for the unit commissioner, and another signature for like the headmaster.
This page right here? This one? Okay, so on this page, the executive officer, which is probably going to be, if you're LDS, your bishop. Okay? If you're not LDS, it's probably going to be your pastor or your PTO president or the principal of the school. It's going to be the person that allows you to meet where you're meeting. The other two, council representative and unit leader, if they are the same people, make the council representative myself. So it needs to be 3 different signatures on this page. That's a great question.
It's not the chartered organization.
Right. That's a good point. So this isn't charter CRC, okay? It's a council representative. I know it's hard to see from back there. Council representative, not charter representative. So it is, the council representative is somebody who is registered with the council or with the district and not with the unit, who is accepting the charter paperwork. Most likely that will be me or Mr. Soto. It can also be Mr. Affleck, who is our district president, or Brian Bishop, who is our district commissioner. It may also be a unit commissioner, which might be in your stake presidency, stake primary presidency, or young men's presidency. Yes, sir.
So if you have a boy who's turning a different age and moving up to a different group, do we use the effective date that we turn this in, or the end of the year, so December birthdays?
So the question is, when a boy is turning into a different group, do you need to have him do it before the end of the year or by the effective date your charter is expiring? Is that right?
Yeah, what's the date we use?
You want to put the date in for February 1st. February 1st is that is our calendar date. That's a great question. Other questions? Now dismissed. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.